Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from Worldcast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole fly fishing forecast for the weekend of October 5th and 6th. As you can see behind me, it is an absolute glorious, beautiful fall day in the greater Jackson Hole area. Our leaves are changing. There's a little bit of crisp fallness in the air. It's sunny, it's warm. As you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, fall is my most favorite time to be here in the greater Jackson Hole and Teton Valley area, fishing and enjoying everything we have to offer without a bit of the crowds, little bit shorter days and cooler nights, and everything that falls along those lines of our fall fishing season. We've had a pretty warm start to fall, in honesty. I am not going to complain. I know it has made the fishing challenging on certain areas and certain rivers in the local area, but as I know, and as many people know that have lived here longer than me, winter will come and it will get cold and it will get crummy. So we just have to wait and see. So I'm going to embrace this warm beginning of fall season for everything it has to offer. Looking into our fall fishing season and into our weekend ahead, we've got Palisades Reservoir at 42% of capacity. Jackson Lake is 77% of capacity. So as I've said earlier in the spring, we're starting to see water managers shift a bit of their practices to keeping water in Jackson Lake and storing that water as high as possible. You know, it's 77% is a great place to be this time of year for Jackson Lake. Saturday and Sunday, lots of sunshine and warm. 70 and 39 on Saturday, 71 and 40 on Sunday. That looks to be the extent of our 10-day forecast. Every week when I get on my computer, I pull up the 10-day and I'm like, it's going to get crummy. It's going to get crummy. It's going to get crummy. And it hasn't. And looking into this 10-day, it's a little bit of the same. We've even got some days in the mid 70s, high 60s, mostly sunny, maybe some cloud cover, you know, so enjoy that here for these next 10 days because inevitably it will turn soon and it will be gross and disgusting and we're going to be relishing these warm fall, summer-like days here in Teton Valley and the Jackson Hole area. So with our fishing coming into that, we're starting to see our fishing really turn into a midday process. You know, our mornings are really cold or starting to get cold. Our evenings are starting to chill off, and we've got shorter days and longer nights. So look for those banker hours or those midday time periods for the maximum bug activity during the warmest parts of the day, and look for that fishing activity to be the best at those times. A caveat to that is when we get these high pressure and these really warm fall days, a lot of the sun and a lot of the warmth, it can feel like summer times. And so, you know, some of those early afternoon periods can be really challenging. So you're just going to have to grind through it. Find some new tactics, change your rigs up, you know, go to nymph rigs or streamers or lengthen your droppers. You know, we're going to have to build in a variety of our fishing techniques to put fish in the net during these warm beginnings of our fall season. South Fork of the Snake, 5,190 CFS, 5,210 CFS there on the lower river. The South Fork at the beginning of fall, you know, in that mid-September timeframe, it was actually pretty challenging. The water quality was good. It wasn't, you know, silty or gross like we see at those other times. It's just we haven't had that bug activity really switch around. We're starting to see that now where we're seeing some mahoganies, we're seeing some blue-wing olives, we're seeing those fish sort of pool up in some of those recirculating eddies and those softer water types out of the riffles and the summer water stuff where, you know, fishing those dry droppers from the boat on inside bends, flats, seam lines, recirculating eddies, and those softer water types are going to be very productive. Our streamer fishing has been a little touch and go. You know, I would definitely wait for the streamer fishing to get better once we get some cloud cover and some cooler days and nights. But it is October and those brown trout are thinking about doing their thing. So throwing streamers on sink tip lines and full sinking lines, now's the time to do it. I probably would do that during those lower light periods like the morning and the evening. The Snake and Jackson, 443 CFS coming out of Jackson Lake Dam, 1,840 CFS there on the lower river. We're seeing Bureau of Rec start to get down to that 200 CFS winter flow mark. So that's going to make things challenging for some of your floats, you know, in Grand Teton National Park. I would probably, you know, choose some of those shorter ones like Pacific to Deadman's or Deadman's to Moose, some of those ones that aren't a huge chunk of river mileage. Also, those flows are pretty low in there, so we start to see some of our best fishing opportunities on the lower Snake, the Forest, and the BTNF. I'd fish, you know, some leftover hopper dropper stuff. I'd fish some leftover Hecuba parachutes, even though there's not really that many around. I would concentrate on my mahoganies. I would concentrate on my blue-wing olives, and I would be varying those dropper lengths with my Chernobyl bugs or my hoppers from 1 meter or 3 feet, maybe even a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. You know, I'd fish, you know, some Perdigons, some Spanish bullets, some large zebra midges, and olive, red, and black. You know, you don't need those super heavy flies when you're fishing those shallower parts of the river where those fish start to hold up. But fall is a glorious time on the Snake, and I invite everybody to check it out now that the summer crowds have definitely subsided a bit. The Teton in the Valley, 267 CFS, around Driggs, 491 CFS there on the lower river. Surprisingly, with this weather, we've seen some awesome dry fly fishing on the Teton this time of year. Mostly blue-wing olives, mostly mahoganies. The terrestrials are pretty much done, maybe some small streamers, but that 9 to 10 a.m. until about 3 or 4 o'clock, we've been having some really good small dry fly fishing up here in the valley. As I was explaining, flows are low, flows are clear. Lengthen your leaders, lighten up your tippets. It's going to be highly technical, and a lot of those floats are going to take you a lot longer with the weed growth and the lower flows. But the Teton has definitely been one of those diamonds in the rough during this warm, high-pressure start to our fall season. The Henry's Fork, we've got 155 to 200 CFS up there in the box, 779 CFS there on the lower river around Ashton. The lower river on Ashton is starting to come online in fall fashion. We've had some good reports coming back from Warm River to Ashton, as well as Ora and Chester. You know, beware of some of that weed growth that's starting to let loose with the cooler water temps. But nymphing with small rubber legs, San Juan worms, blue-wing olive imitations, small pheasant tails has definitely been productive on both reaches of Warm River to Ashton and the lower river. We've seen some periodic dry fly fishing with blue-wing olives and mahoganies, but we do need a little bit more cloud cover and classic Rocky Mountain fall weather for that to get good. I'd also start thinking about throwing some streamers down there on the lower river, you know, as the brown trout start to get ready for their spawn or get aggressive and start to migrate into those different areas. The area up in the Box Canyon is definitely low, and it's probably not floatable unless you're in a raft and you want to be scraping around. But the Box Canyon can offer some really good wade fishing opportunities this time of year before we get a lot of snow on the ground. Similar to the lower river, I'd fish, you know, a lot of those smaller rubber legs. I'd fish zebra midges. I'd fish, you know, your Spanish bullet, your tactical tungsten pheasant tails. I'd fish some of those rainbow warriors and in sort of that technical tailwater fare in that reach. Flat Creek in Jackson and the National Elk Refuge has been putting out some good reports with some really good dry fly fishing, mahoganies and mostly blue-wing olives in that midday time period. I'd throw some midges. I'd throw also some pseudo PMDs in my box as well. Long leaders, light tippets, you know, a headhunter mentality to be successful out there. But these last couple weeks, October, are some of the best times to be out there on Flat Creek now that the crowds have sort of gone. Yellowstone National Park, the Madison River, the Firehole, the Gibbon, that whole western side of the park is continuing to fish well during the fall season. Look for some of those fish to be coming out of Hebgen Lake, brown trout and rainbow trout there on the Madison River, and look for your dry fly fishing opportunities on the Firehole to be pretty darn good with blue-wing olives and leftover caddis. You know, throw in some other areas of Yellowstone National Park if you're looking for some walk wade fishing, and we've got a full calendar and a full menu of some fly fishing, great fall fly fishing opportunities here in the greater Jacksonville area. The Fly Shop, we're on fall hours, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Stop in, get ready for the fall season ahead. We look forward to seeing everybody for this last sort of push into probably as I said, my favorite part of the fly fishing season in the greater Jacksonville area. So come out and enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you here next week.